name is KJ, and you're listening to the Supernatural Opinions podcast, where some things in this world are supernatural. My pronouns are she, they, and this is the podcast where I talk to my fellow Supernatural fans about Supernatural, and we share our supernatural opinions.
Hey, it's Ed and KJ here with a few updates and some information that I'm going to do my best to do all of this in a way that's fun and entertaining because I don't know when we're going to be back with our regular content. First, before I talk about the strike where people are being asked to be paid fairly for their work, I have a quick call out looking for some free labor. No, actually, I could really use some help. This podcast is a passion project and it costs money for our hosting site, the good Zoom that lasts for more than 40 minutes at a time, our Discord bot, plus mics and headphones, etc. And that money all comes out of my own pocket, and I do not mind at all because I wanted to make this show. It was my passion project. But the thing that I've been struggling with is the time that it takes to create the episodes. So if you have any experience editing audio or you want to learn and you don't mind that I can't offer you some sort of financial compensation, I will happily work something out with you, be it bonus episode selection or guest spots or some weekly segment that you really want us to do, a producer credit. We can talk about it, whatever you want. I'm sure we can work out if it's not anything super unreasonable. I could just really use some help. If anybody wants to do some editing, reach out to us on either the podcast social media or through our email address, which is supernaturalopinionspodcast@gmail.com. I could use the help. Okay, on to the other unpaid people of the entertainment industry and why they're striking and how that impacts our show. Right now, the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, is on strike. We're quite timely in that we're mid-season 3 at the moment, which was produced during the 2007 writers' strike, which lasted for about 93 days. The strike started back on May 2nd of 2023, our baby Sammy's birthday. And for me, I was just finishing a strike for the union that I'm part of in my day job, so I'm feeling very warmly towards unions at the moment. Just pay the people what they're worth. Like, it's just so expensive to live. Just pay people, please. But the employer in this strike is the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, AMPTP, which is made up of 350 film and television producers, including like the really major production studios, television networks, and streaming services that you're probably thinking of. If you're thinking of them, they're probably in that AMPTP alliance. And some of the biggest issues for the WGA is residuals from streaming media, the use of AI to replace human writers, minimum basic agreement, which is a minimum wage agreement for writers that like only applies to network TV, doesn't apply to writers that write for like streaming services. And while I will say this should not be the case, most of the time when you watch TV, you don't recognize individual episode writers by name. I know this corner of the fandom, it really does matter who wrote the episode, but day to day when you're watching TV, you probably aren't noticing in other shows the writers, and so that's why I think 70 days had gone by, because 70 days into the 2023 WGA strike, people were starting to like forget about it. There's a lot going on in the world. It's a lot to keep track of, but the actors are very recognizable, and on July 14th, 2023, enter SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. This is the first time since 1960 that SAG-AFTRA and the WGA have been on strike at the same time. They're also on strike against the AMPTP, so it's the same employer, and they are also taking issue with streaming residuals and the AI use. So where are we now as a podcast? Even though the show is off the air, Supernatural is a struck work. It's produced by the CW, which is part of that AMPTP, and on the SAG-AFTRA website, they have a frequently asked questions for podcasters that states, what about rewatch or companion podcasts related to struck work? Are they considered promotional? And I'm just going to read word for word the response there, on the SAG-AFTRA website. They say, yes, they are considered promotional. Rewatch and companion shows drive people to the struck companies' platforms to watch the shows promoted by your podcast. We must stand together to show these companies our power and influence so they will provide performers with a fair contract. You should honor any pre-existing contracts, but if a contract is not involved, do not promote struck work. Hosts and guests can talk about their personal lives or union activism or how the strike is affecting them or the state of the industry, but not about work for struck employers. So what are we going to do in the meantime? Obviously, I've been using the break because we're hoping that this will be resolved quickly. We hope that the writers and actors get paid fairly for the work that they do. We can get back to our boys, Sam and Dean, really soon. We're going to be breaking somewhat indefinitely until that happens, but bi-weekly until whenever whenever we can resume our usual content, I will be making some short episodes about the podcasting process, things I've learned, things I wouldn't do again, in hopes that the next person who wants to make a podcast can maybe learn something. And again, I'm still looking for an unpaid intern. If you have any questions, anything about podcasting process you're interested in, please let me know so I can cover that early on. Again, we're gonna do like as few of these as possible, because hopefully like not too many bi-weekly episodes are needed to fill this gap, and then we'll pick up where we left off with season 3, episode 10 of Supernatural. Many of my Pod Squad friends are also in like a similar situation, and I expect I'm going to be joining them on some of the side projects that they're going to be working on. So like keep your ear open for me there, and keep your eye on our social medias and like what we're doing, and like if you see that there's new stuff in the feed, please give us a listen. We don't want to be gone for too long, but we also want to support the union in the best way we know how, and that's the messaging we have from the union currently. And yeah, I'm gonna go back to catching up on my editing and being editing KJ for a bit, but that's where we're at. You can reach out to us on all of our regular social media platforms. They're gonna be the same ones you've always reached out to us on. And yeah, let me know what you guys want to hear about. I'm happy to talk about some very specific things if that's what you're interested in. I'm also happy to talk about some other, tangential stuff. We just can't talk about any struck works at the moment, and that's just what we're doing right now. Again, hopefully this is resolved quickly, and I will be hanging out, and I will let y'all know when I know that we're good to keep going. I've been KJ, and this has been Supernatural Opinions. If you enjoyed our show, the best thing you can do is subscribe on your podcast app of choice and tell a friend. Check out our link tree in the episode description for all of our social media and any other Supernatural-related projects we might be working on. Send us an email. Our address is supernaturalopinionspodcast@gmail.com, or reach out directly at KJ, @editingKJ on all platforms. Thank you to Joe Veretta for our theme song, and our logo was created by Faith Ebert of faithanddesigns.ca. The episode was recorded, edited, and produced by me, Editing KJ. If you want to hear more from me, you can check out my other podcast, Series of Opinions. And last but not least, a huge thank you to all of our guests.